Welcome, folks, to Politically Animated and another episode of Politicians We Can't Trust. Today, we're diving deep into the political swamp with none other than New York City's Mayor Eric Adams. Grab your popcorn because this is going to be good. Here's Eric Adams, the mayor who claims he's Democrat, but let's just say he's got more political colors than a chameleon at a disco. First, he's all about the blue wave, then he's dipping his toes in the MAGA pool. He's like a political smoothie, a little bit of everything, but none of it blends well.
Want to start on the topic of immigration in particular. New York City is a sanctuary city. Does that get reversed anytime soon so that NYPD can help deport immigrants?
And it is so important. That term has been thrown around without any real understanding and meaning of it. The sanctuary part of it is to state to immigrants, undocumented, and whomever that utilize our services. Have your children educated in schools. Call law enforcement if you're a victim of a crime. You have a right for medical care. That is what we believe in. And what the problem was is that this was in place since Mayor Koch, Mayor Bloomberg, but the changes that were made under the previous administration that prevent law enforcement and any city agency for collaborating with ICE for deportation reason, I just don't believe that. Those who commit serious violent crimes, we should collaborate with ICE to make sure they are not on our streets committing threats and dangers to migrants, asylum seekers, and everyday New Yorkers. Okay,
so Mayor, that's a yes to revamp the sanctuary laws, if I'm hearing that correctly. Now, you met with Trump's border czar last week, if I'm also remembering correctly. What have you both discussed? What is the roadmap going forward?
To collaboration. I've stated it from the beginning. I was talking about this even prior to the election. It's about public safety to me, and we're going to sit down with our team and his team and work out the plan of dealing with those who are dangerous and should not be in our city or country.
When we talk about, though, the methods that will be used. There was a lot of hay, of course, made about your meeting last week with Tom Homan, the cooperation that you will have to have one way or another with the Trump administration. As you know, Mayor, a lot of the issues with the first Trump administration and the way that they dealt with undocumented immigrants wasn't so much the kicking them out, but it was a lot of the methods used to round them up here. Will you be cooperating on the roundup part of that?
Well, I think that the border czar would articulate exactly what their methodologies are and how they're going to operationalize what they want to do. In the city, we're clear. And I want to take all the anxiety away from our migrants, asylum seekers, and undocumented individuals. Continue use the service that your tax dollars are paying for. I am zeroing in on those who are committed repeated violent crimes. I said this over and over again, and let's be clear. The American public have communicated loudly and clearly. We have to fix our border. We have to keep dangerous people out of the country, and that is why they voted for this president to do so.
They certainly did, but according to a CNN...
Now whispers from the wind, or maybe from the White House, suggest Adams might be cozying up to Trump for that sweet, sweet pardon. Because nothing says, I'm a Democrat, like hoping for a Republican president to erase your legal headaches. New York City, the city that never sleeps. But apparently, its mayor is sleeping on both sides of the bed. He's playing both teams, hoping Trump will forget all about those pesky indictments. And let's not forget, Adams is known for his love of crypto. Maybe he's hoping for a pardon in Bitcoin? Sorry for the corruption. Here's 10 Bitcoins and a free subway ride. Ahem.
We certainly did, but according to a Siena poll, a lot of those people also voted not just to deal with the violent immigrants, but pretty much all. And some of that has to do with the budget pressures on this city as a result of all those folks coming in. Almost $7 billion spent just since mid-2022 on shelters. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of migrants still in this city using city services. Can New York City afford that?
No, they cannot. Like you indicated, $6.5 billion. You know what I could have done with $200 million of that? I could have gone after those chronically absent young people. Hundreds of millions of dollars we could put into our older adults. These were taxpayers' dollars that were used for a national problem. The White House only gave us roughly a little over $200 million as $6.5 billion. And we can't. Look at what's happening to Chicago, Denver, Los Angeles, all of these big cities that had to take on this crisis. It was wrong, and we need to make sure that it doesn't continue to happen.
Did you have to take in all those migrants, Mr. Mayor? There was a lot of questions, particularly on some of those migrants being either bused here or shipped here, rather than them coming here voluntarily. I mean, there were some mechanisms in place where you could have turned those folks around. Why didn't you?
No, and I'm so glad you said that, because that was one of the most misunderstood. People would stop me every day on the streets and say, wait a minute, what are you doing to us, Eric? I had no authorization to stop the buses from coming in that would violate federal law. I had no authorization not to give them a place to sleep, 3 meals, and the other amenities. That's against local laws. And I had no authorization to allow them to work. That would violate federal law. I couldn't even allow them to volunteer and give them a stipend to clean streets, remove graffiti, and other services. The federal government said, no, you cannot, Eric. So, no, we did not have any other choice. We were successful, though. Out of those 220,000, 170,000, we were able to allow them to go on their next step of their journey. They're no longer in our care. They're no longer being paid for taxpayers' dollars because we took the right steps.
So let me just clarify for a second. So when we were talking about the New York City sanctuary laws, that would be for undocumented criminals, right? But then what about these people that we're talking about, who are bussed in, who are still on a New York City payroll? What happens to them?
I didn't quite understand your question. You said the sanctuary law is for anyone that's in the city that's not documented, stating you have the right to use taxpayer services. When an undocumented person walks in the store and buy a loaf of bread, those taxes he's paying if he's documented or not. So you should have the right to use the services that your tax dollars are paid for. What I am saying, those who are committing repeated violent acts, they should not be in our city to be released on our streets to continue to carry out those violent acts against longstanding New Yorkers and migrants and asylum seekers.
Yeah, I guess my question was distinguishing that versus like the families that I see in the subway who are undocumented but clearly not a harm to society. What are you going to do about them?
We want to give them the services they need.
But we can't afford it, right? But you just said we can't afford those things.
No, we want to give them the services they need and show them the next step on the American journey like other immigrants. Immigrants have come to this city for hundreds and hundreds of years. I don't care if it's the early Irish that built our subway system, the early Italians, the early Caribbeans. Immigrants have always come to this city, but they found their way. And that's what we did to 170,000 migrants and asylum seekers. The city cannot pick up that tab. We need to put them on a pathway to find their way to pursue the American dream.
All right, Mr. Mayor, I do have to.
So, if you're looking for a mayor who's loyal to his party, well, keep looking, because Eric Adams is playing both sides like he's in a political ping pong match. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more political comedy that's more honest than some politicians' campaign promises.